Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Adeline C. Ruiz, and today we will discuss the theories and principle in the use and design of technology-driven lesson. So, in this module, we will discuss three lessons, and the lesson one is TPAC as a framework for technology-driven teaching and learning. So, allow me to read first the learning outcome. So the first one is familiarized oneself with TPAC and SAMR model as framework in integrating technology in the practice of teaching. Second one, selected and employed an appropriate technology tool or application in an instructional plan, and evaluate one's capability in integrating technology in his lesson, and identify learning theories and principles, applied media, and um, applied in media. So that is our learning outcomes for today. So I know that not everyone in the class took this course just because they wanted to teach, or they want to teach, because I know that some of you took this course as a plan B, because I know that some of you wants to be a lawyer, some of you wants to study a medtech. However, since we are not ready financially, so we some took this course as a plan B. But since you are an education students, you are learning how to become an effective teacher in the future. So as you prepare not to be a teacher, of course, once na you are a teacher, your student are expecting you to be knowledgeable enough, especially sa imong specialization. So once na may mutang teacher, no, if someday if magtudlo na, so mag-expect na ng student na since we are major in English, the students will expect us na knowledgeable enough na ta sa English. So as a teacher, of course, it is necessary for us to have a strategies and techniques, but still dili tanan techniques and strategies is imuhang magamit. So it is your kanang responsibility as a teacher to know if what strategies you have, or what techniques that you have that kanang you can use in teaching. And of course, in considering technological tools in learning, what would it be? So in today's discussion, you will going to know the things to consider in teaching and learning. So before becoming a TPAC, it is first called as PCK, or the Pedagogical Content Knowledge, in year 2008 by Schulman. PCK is a framework which involves the teacher's competence in delivering the concept being taught by simplifying complex ones. So meaning PCK is a structure or a plan that will guide the teacher's capability uh, in delivering the lesson or the text from complex to simple one. Now, remember that students can literally understand a text. For example, you are a teacher. You are a teacher and you teach ka ng grade 7. For example, nagtudlo ka sa grade 7. Then you give them a quote that will be explained by them. And the quote is yes, I am a nice person, but if you cross the line too many times, everything can change very quickly. Tapos ano din si student na, ma'am, ako ma'am. Oh yes, unsa man Juan? Unsa mong answer Juan? Amo na si Juan na. Ma'am, buutan man jud tang mga tao, ma'am. Pero maglahi ra ma'am oy labaw nagmatiguang. Ha? Mao nay answer ni Juan. Now, in Juan's answer, did he um did he mention reason or reasons why a person changed? No, wala. So, your job as a teacher is to make your student understand the text or the quote deeply. So, mo ana dayon si teacher nga. Mo ana dayon si teacher. So, class, explain dayon ni teacher class. The poem is all about it is all about kanang trust, a trust that can change a person, a trust nga kanang once maguba or giguba too many times, mulahi ang sa una ug ang karon. So, gi-explain na ni teacher. Naghatag na, ano si teacher kanang grabe na iyahang pag kanang yawit-yawit sa explanation, anak nga quote. However, there were students in the back nga kanang wala naka-understand sa ginami ni teacher because nagsigirag tabi. Now, the question is there any way to help those students? Napabatay ka ng paraan enable the students in the back would understand what the teacher or what the teacher mean. Sige nga, is there any way? Of course, yes. Na ay way because as a teacher, you need to be flexible. Because ano mo siya kay not all the students sumanggod is good in understanding orally, or I mean kana na ay skills orally kana ganing dali kay makasabot iingon lang sa maestra. Some students are more on visual, so one strategy or one way is the teacher can play a video that is all about trust, a video with the use of technology. So that is the arrival of TPAC by Mishra and Kohler. Mishra and Kohler, they continued to build upon Schulman's PCK, and they incorporated technology. So from PCK or pedagogical content knowledge with the incorporation of technology, it became TPAC or technological pedagogical content knowledge. So, what is TPAC? TPAC is a framework that combines the teacher three knowledge areas. And what are those knowledge? The technological knowledge, the pedagogical knowledge, and the content knowledge. So, wait lang. So, the TPAC model shows us the interconnectedness of the three knowledge. So, as you can see in the kanang model or in the picture, it shows us their connection. And once nga mag-utilize ni teacher ang tulo ka knowledge, it will make the teaching more engaging, more relevant, and more effective. Effective in a way nga ma-acquire ni student ang kanang lesson, and engaging because the students can join, can enjoy, and kanang ma-engage ang all. For example, in kanang website nga kahot, while searching, nakita nako to sa ibang bansa man to siya. While searching, nakita nako that one strategy ni teacher katong sa in that specific school kay kanang naggamit sila og technology, and then gi-present nila ang kahot. I mean, si teacher, nagpa-answer siya question or nagpa-quiz siya through kanang kahot. And while nag-answer sila kana ganing naay kanang usa gitawag kanang puti nga kuain oy kanang kanang screen gani nga white o nya. Pagkahuman kay nag-appear dito ang question and then also engaging siya in a way nga tawag na, ang participation ni students ba nga hala hala tama ko ay mali sayang kana ganing ana very engaging and I believe it is very effective. Now, since 'di ba that TPAC model shows us the interconnectedness, meaning dapat na agyunin silang tulo. Now, what do you think will happen if kulang ang knowledge ni ma'am or kulang ang knowledge ni teacher? Of course, it will decrease the understanding of the student in terms of complex contents. Dili na dili na ma-practice or ma-encourage ang participation, ang collaboration among peers, and also ma-decrease ang motivation ni student. For example, when I was grade 10, we have student teacher, I will not mention the school na lang, and also the name. We have a student teacher in science subject. Now, our teacher, our kanang katong teacher yun na mo sa science is kanang known for her kanang pinaka the best no tudlo. Like, grabe siya ka-the best mo tudlo jud. Now, pag abot sa student teacher, of course, sila na may mag-handle na sa amo ang mga student. The way siya magtudlo is super boring. As a student ha, may observation lang kay. Wala siya boring in a way. Kabalo mo nga, no? It's because, wala na siya na, okay, class, go to page ka ng 20. Basta na niya, okay, content TPAC is a framework that combines history, knowledge, in areas. Okay? Page 25. Ana siya mo tudlo. So, wala pa gani niya nahatag ang explanation or ang deep explanation, ang deep definition ato niya nga kana nga concept. Ning diretso na siya og page 25. Now, imagine from page 20 to page 25, daw ka siya glatang nga nabuhat. So, kami pod nga student niya kay since na kami kalibog mag-ask man pod, and then there were time nga kanang my classmate asked her and then wala siya nakatubag. Although ano siya sa amo ang part nga of course lock on kay no kanang unsa tawag na kanang nakulbaan pud mi ba kay kanang basig nalain siya sa amo kay nangutan mi, pero sa as a student, of course, we need learnings pod. We need knowledge. However, wala to niya nahatag. And since science, naadyan siya yung mga demonstration na kailangan buhaton. However, iyaha lang ginalatangan. And that leads to super kanang discussion. Like, wala dyan siya yung unod nga discussion. And that is the kanang result if walay pedagogical knowledge and walay technological knowledge tapos content knowledge lang ang naa. So that is the effect if kulang ang knowledge nga naa ni teacher. An opposite example of that is if naaning tulong ka knowledge areas, the technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. An example of that is when I was grade 7, our Filipino teacher kanang kuan jud na siya gintagaan mi ni activity. And then kato siya nga activity is that kanang sa tawag ani oy kanang ganing tayo no, after niya mag-discuss for example ang ibong Adarna, discuss ni ma'am kung unsa ang kanang content o sa nahitabo dito. After that, we are tasked to create a short yell, which is a competition from group 1, group 2 ingana. And then, I can say, as a student, I can say that it is very effective. The strategy of our teacher is very effective in a way nga mabalik-balikan na mo ang lesson. Why? Ini ka-exam na mo, since yelling man siya no, like, gani, ana. So, ini ka-exam na mo kay kanang if naay tayo sa malimtan gani na mo ang amo ang gipang memo, which is naa sa amo ang yel, mura may buang na kana ganing hala na ni sa kuan na ni sa katong yel na mo na ni nya while nag-exam kayo, ang kaharian ng nan, mag-ana-ana gyud me. And it is very effective kay mabalik ka na mo as a student. So, next is the technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge, known as TPAC, is a theoretical model describing the capacity of the 21st century teacher to be relevant to the learners of today. The teacher should be able to blend his knowledge and capacity and the content of discipline. So this is the reason why we are educated in this way. Now, we the future English teacher. As a future English teacher, again, we need to be flexible. We need to have those three knowledge. And for example, kaning PED 5 na subject. This PED 5 subject is not only explaining us what is QR code, what is TPAC, but also um kanang ginatagaan tag task on kanang creating website with the use of technology. And for that, no, it will improve our skills, our capacity as a 21st century teachers. And this is also a challenge for those teachers nga edad-idaran na, although they know how to use kanang technology, but since daghan na kay website na kailangan gamiton sa school, lisod gihapon siya para sa ila, although maka-learn good sila. However, kanang late, I think kanang murag nanay dugay kanang ganing dugay nakadugay maano sila kung unsaon paggamit ingana. So in order for you to deeply understand the three knowledge, let's discuss them one by one. So first is the content knowledge, or the CK. It is the what. It refers to understanding of the content such as language, art, math, science, history, among others. This is composed of facts, concept, theories, or principle in a given discipline. So, meaning this is kining this is the description or the meaning of the content, the text or the content. For example, kanang the theory of behaviorism. So what is behaviorism? So the teacher will give the behaviorism is the idea, is the kanang measured behavior of a learner's response. Ing ana lang siya. That is the content knowledge. It is your understanding. It is your understanding on the definition, or kanang the teacher will give the meaning of that specific content. But when the teacher present this one, kanang second picture, kanang naay bukog, kaya. But when the teacher present that one in an engaging way, for example, ano mo ni teacher, the teacher will group you into three groups, and then you will kanang play the game pick pack boom. As teacher, okay, group 1 will be the pick pack boom dog, group 2 will be the pick pack boom bell, and the group 3 will be the pick pack boom food. From that from that sequence batawag ana, in that way mahatagag idea si student. Like for example, pick pack boom dog, pick pack boom bell, pick pack boom food, meaning when the dog hear the bell, it means food. So in that kanang strategy of ihatag ni teacher, that is called pedagogical knowledge, or the PK. It is the how. It is the expert knowledge in the science of teaching, from educational and learning theories to individual differences to strategies and techniques, as well as the assessment of learning. So in the content knowledge, the teacher is only explaining or giving ideas about the lesson. And when the teacher applies strategy or method on how to acquire the lesson, it is called pedagogical knowledge. For example, sa content knowledge, mana lang mana lang si kanang ma'am na, okay, volcano is a blah 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 and a blah blah blah. I ask teacher, explain lang niya what is volcano. What is the kanang the reason nga nung mag-erupt ang volcano. Now, in order na ma-deeply understand sa students, the teacher will demonstrate ang kanang mga nahitabo. I mean, i-explain ni teacher in a way nga naay materials nga needed ay nga iyahang gamiton. For example, this is mayon si teacher na, okay, this plate is the plate A, and this plate, plato, and this plate is the plate B, and when they converge to each other, katong pinaka baga nga plate will go down, and then ang edge atong nga plate kay magbuo og something ana ing ana na moadto sa volcano kay pag converge na kay musaka na ang kuan kay ni ana kana ni converge mo saka ang volcano, and then ang katong pinakabaga kay basta ang edge ato kay ano sa tay buoghon ay nya pagkahuman mo ato sa volcano, and that's the reason nga mo erupt. And then kana ganing nasa science kana nasa la ibutang bakit tayo ng volcano nya nasa la ibutang tapos kataos butangan din nila alcohol ba na or unsa na ila ibutang tapos muana dayon ang katong volcano nila. In that way, mas ma-understand that is the strategy of the teachers in able to understand enable the students would understand the lesson deeply. So that is called pedagogical knowledge. And so the incorporation of technology knowledge sa PCK ni Chulman kay idea, di ba? It is the idea of Mishra and Kohler. It is the TK or the technological knowledge. It refers to the teacher's knowledge on how to select and use and integrate this tools in teaching and learning context. So there are lots of technology application. There are lots of sites that a teacher can use in teaching and learning. But of course, as a teacher, you need to consider its appropriateness. For example, mana si teacher nga, and dapat po, as a teacher, di ba, the teacher's knowledge on how to select. As a teacher, dapat kabalo ka kung unsa jud ang kanang way or ang process ana nga site. For example, mo ana si teacher nga, okay class, create a question in with the and present that question in Kahoot and share the link in the class. Yeah, one student of yours, kay moingon na, ma'am, dili na ko ma-copy ang link, dili na ko ma-share ang link unsaon man ni ma'am. Wala si student. Now, ikaw nga teacher, nga wala pa kagamit ato nga Kahoot, tapos dili ka makatubag, 'di ba? So wala kay na-impart sa student. So as a teacher, it is necessary na before you give instruction, of course it is necessary na kanang ma-learn and kanang naka-enough knowledge in that specific content or kanang that specific site. So now, if the technology is used in a specific area to enrich and deepen the understanding of the content, this is the intersection of TCC key. TCK or the technological content knowledge or the TCK. It is the use of technology in a specific subject area, meaning it is the use of technology to ensure an effective instruction. For example, katong report nila John Lee. The report of John Lee is all about QR code. So in creating the QR code kay kanang siya step by step. However, ang nahitabo is um ang nahitabo ato is kanang gipa-video discussion lang man sila. Jonali and his partner Willie, they present a video on how to create QR code. So for that, they use technology in order to present how to create a QR code. And I believe na mas effective siya sa students since they have kanang scene kung unsaon pag-create. Now the question is kanang di ba daghan makay technology, and as I said earlier, it is necessary na i-consider ni teacher ang appropriateness. Now, what do you think a teacher should, I mean, why do you think a teacher should use an appropriate kanang technology? Badagan kay technology ta kailangan i-consider ang kanang appropriateness. Now the question is, why do you think nga important man ang important that the teacher should use an appropriate technology? This because there is a possibility nga maapektuhan ang access, ang participation, ang engagement, and of course the application of the new skills. For example, in a school setting, dili tanan na ay internet, right? Sa eskwelahan kay usually ang uban kana na ay wifi sa balay dili ka pa-load sa SIM. And then what is the point? May yung si teacher na okay, use kahot ing ana. What is the point of using kahot or kana any digital instructional material if dili tanan maka-access? 'Di ba? Dili tanan maka-access. So, what unsa pa may kanang sa ang sa tawag ana? Unsa pa may pulos anang ing ana, 'di ba? And another example, for example, mag-discuss si teacher niya. Mag-discuss si teacher niya. Wala siya kadala og kanang laptop niya. Ana siya na gamit lang daw niya ang cellphone. Unya kay na siya gipakita. Now, of course, dili makakita itong nasa luyo. Dili visible sa ilaha kay gamay kay ang cellphone nun niya. Gagmay kay litra. So, of course, dili visible dito sa luyo. Now, since we have a television, so, pwede niya itong gamitin itong TV sa school or else laptop aron mas accessible ang presented na information. So, I would like to wait lang ha. So, this TPAC is is a guide for you or a way for us to assess ourselves if unsa na ba jud ta kahawd as a student in terms of the use of technology strategy and content knowledge. So, ayun ni siya, supposedly dapat ko kaso wala man ta sa room, dili ala lang ta. So, Marshall Venn diagram class na ana, lingin ka, and then, klaro ba, visible ba siya? It's not. Right. Ana. Ana siya. And then, another one here. And then, another one here. So, tulo siya klaseng ana. Sorry, nagamay ang isa. Di ka pala mo drawing o kuan si ma'am. Lingin. So, here is the content knowledge, the C key, right there. And then here is the P key or the pedagogical knowledge. And above is the T key or the technological knowledge. So, as you can see, ing ana ang forma niya class. Now, the combination of the use of technology enable the students acquire the lesson. This is the combination of T key and C key, which is now called as TC key. kaning technological content knowledge. It is the TCK is the use of technology in acquiring the lesson. Now, ay ana na siya, maklaro ba? Now, kaning tunga ni Piki o ni Siki, combination nila mahimo si ay kainit, mahimong PCK or the pedagogical content knowledge. Diri ta sa tunga niya magsulat ana o diri sa tunga dira. So, mo na siya ang PCK. PCK. Kung kagaina, ang TCK is the use of technology. Ang kaning PCK is the use of strategies and techniques of the teachers in acquiring the lesson or in delivering a lesson. Mo na siya PCK. Now, kining si asa na ba to? Kining si kuan si kaning tunga pod ni Tiki ug ni Piki is called TPK or the technological pedagogical knowledge. Dili na siya PCK. Kining si PCK class, it is the ability of the teacher, dili PCK, TPK rather, TPK. Again, TPK na siya class ang kanang combination ni TK and ni PK is TPK or technological pedagogical knowledge. So, kaning technological pedagogical knowledge class is the ability of the teachers to select a strategy with the use of technology. Again, TPK is the ability of the teacher to select a strategy or to use a strategy with the use of technology. So, wala man din ako na-present ang class ni. Wala ko ka-present og kinang example ni. Kaning si technological content knowledge, kining pinakauna is, di ba, this is a TPAC. This is a TPAC. And then, mo na siya ang itsura. Remember that, kay magawas na sa exam. Ana. So, kining si TK o si TK and CK as a kanang na lang ni review, the use of technology. For example, sa kanang thesis, di ba, once na mag-thesis mo or mag-practical research mo, you really need technology in gathering an information or data. Although, pwede man mo mag-use of book, right? Pero time-consuming kaayo siya. Lahi siya sa kanang technology nga in just one click mo gawas ang kanang daghan kay mo gawas nga data na pwede nimo mag-gather. That is TCK. So, this is used to assess yourself if unsa naman jud ka kamaayo. Kay if I will assess myself class, if I will assess myself ani ang mahitabo. Si Tiki and then Tiki, CK, and PK. If I will assess myself, ani ang mahitabo class. Look at the difference from the first one. If you can see, that is the first one, di ba? Katong explanation kung unsa ning TPAC. Now, if I will assess myself, ani ang mahitabo. Ay, gawas. Ana ang mahitabo class. Meaning, tanawa ang difference, gamay lang kaayo ang ako ang si Tiki o si Siki ang akong TCK is dako siya because I always use technology in presenting my kanang topic. So for example sa reporting, ana di ba magamit man jud kag technology, mo na siya. While sa PIKI ug ang SIKI na core, the pedagogical content knowledge, as you can see, gamay lang siya class o ang nasa tunga. It's because I am not that fully as a kanang ano pa second year. I am not that fully kanang fully knowledgeable in terms of strategies nga pwedeng gamiton in order the students acquire the lesson. Dili pa kay ko ano-ana nga mga strategies kailangan pa dyan ako maghuna-huna pag-ayo. While kining sa technology and Piki kay dako pud siya dinhi sa kaning ilang duha kay gayus man pud ko technology for example kanang magpa-video ko kay kanang mag-appeal og video sa discussion aron mas mailhan pag yun ang lesson. So from all the information earlier, TPAC is all about the teacher's capability. It is about what the teachers know. Again, the TPAC is all about what the teachers know, how the teacher teach, and how they use technology in delivering the lesson and to make it more engaging and effective. Again, what the teachers know, how they teach, and how they use or select technology. So, in conclusion, teachers should always start. The teacher should always start, of course, sa content, and then sa kanang pedagogy, and then sa technology na nga paggamit or in teaching with the use of technology. Always remember that TPAC is not all about technology tools lang. Dili lang kay na siya about kanang mga technology nga pwede natong gamiton. But rather, it reminds us that an effective teacher can blend or can balance the three knowledge areas. And what are those? The technological knowledge, the content knowledge, and the pedagogical knowledge. So, I think that would end my part, and I hope that you have learned something from me. And now let's continue the discussion, and I will pass the floor. I will give the floor to Sir Brent to discuss the SAMR model. So, thank you.
Good day, I am Brent Dominic Dana and I will be discussing the SAMR model as well as Bloom's digital taxonomy. So let's start. As we are living in the digital era, we have come to integrate the use of digital technology in our daily lives, from communication, presentation, and etc. That's because technology makes our lives so much easier, right? And the educational field is no exception. Teachers and instructors use technology to integrate in the teaching and learning process. From online classes, digital presentations, online activities, and etc. And that is the SAMR model is all about. So let's learn more about the SAMR model in the next slide. So next. The SAMR model or the summer model is a model developed by Dr. Ruben Puentedura designed to help educators infuse technology into the teaching and learning process. The model supports and enables teachers to design, develop, and infuse digital learning experiences that utilize technology. So the model provides a way for teachers to incorporate technology into their teaching practice and to help them move towards a more meaningful and transformative uses of technology. The summer model consists of 4 levels and it is arranged in a hierarchical order. So as we move along the continuum, the digital technology becomes more embedded and more invisibly woven into the teaching and learning process. So what does SUMMER stands for? Let's start from the bottom up, which is letter S for substitution. So substitution is using technology as an alternative for the regular item that is employed in assisting instruction. Technology acts as a direct substitute with no functional improvement. So be mindful of the the keywords with no functional improvement. So for example, let's say the task is to write a persuasive essay. So in substitution, the example would be writing an essay in a word processor instead of pen and paper. We can say that this example is substitution because the word processor, which can be applications such as WPS or Microsoft Word, acts as a direct substitute to the traditional pen and paper. So instead of writing it with pen and paper, you can substitute the digital technology uh, such as the word processor in order for you to type it. So instead of writing it, you can type it. So the activity is the essence of the activity is still the same, but it is now more easy and more efficient since you are no longer writing it but typing it. So be mindful of the keywords again sa substitution. It is a direct substitute with no functional improvement. Okay, so next. Now we have A for augmentation. So in this level, technology acts as a direct substitute with functional improvement. So the same with substitution, they act as a direct substitute. But what's different with augmentation is it is a direct substitute but with functional improvement. Following the previous activity, which is for example, you are tasked to create or write a persuasive essay. In augmentation, the example would be using digital tools such as Quillbot, Grammarly, and etc. to improve writing mechanics and style. So we can say that it's augmentation because it still acts as a direct substitute. So in Quillbot and Grammarly, you can type your essays instead of writing it on pen and paper. So the functional improvement in Quillbot and Grammarly is you can check for, it will automatically check your grammar, and it can also improve your sentences. So that's the difference between augmentation and substitution. So remember again, the keyword is it is a direct substitute with functional improvement. So next. Now on to the next level, which is letter M for modification. Now, in modification, technology allows for significant task redesign. So, following our kaning previous task before, which is to create a persuasive essay, the example for modification would be to create an infographic to support your argument, like Canva, PixArt, and etc. In modification, you are no longer bound by the restrictions of the original task. So, for example, your task is to write a persuasive essay. In modification, you can redesign that task to give more creativity uh, to your students. So in this example, you can give them the task to make an infographic. So with infographics, they can incorporate pictures or graphics to further support their argument. So it is more creative for them, and it is more, let's say, efficient in delivering their ideas, since there is another visual aspect that adds to it. So in modification, you can also task students to create a video. So as long as it is a redesign of the previous task. So that's modification. So modification, again, allows for significant task redesign. Next. So the last one of the four levels of summer is the R, which is redefinition. So in redefinition, technology allows for the creation of new tasks that has not been previously conceptualized. So example, so same task gihapon ta, no? So our example is creating a digital debate using video conferencing platforms such as Zoom, Google Meet, or social media to argue and defend different perspectives on the topic. We can say that this example is an example of redefinition, since this task cannot be conceptualized or even realized before when we don't have the technology for it. So with this task, we can have an online debate with two parties that are not on the same place at the same time. So with the help of the new technology, we are able to do it now. So that's it. So that's why it can be considered as redefinition, and it's a revamp of the original task. So our original task is to write a persuasive essay. So in redefinition, we are now creating a digital debate using video conferencing platform. So it's a revamp of the original task. So yeah. So redefinition and modification is somehow the same, no? But how can we differentiate it from each other? So remember, in modification, it involves using technology to significantly redesign the task or learning activity in a way that enhances student learning. This might involve adding multimedia elements, collaborating with peers, or creating an interactive digital product that would not have been possible without the existing technology now. So just like in our example, our original task is to write a persuasive essay. In modification, we have come to use, or we have we assigned students to create an infographic. So we integrated um, graphics and pictures into the existing task. So that's modification. Okay, so in redefinition, always remember that it goes beyond simply enhancing or improving the task, but instead involves creating entirely new possibilities for learning that were not possible without the technology we have right now. So in redefinition, as what I've said earlier, it's a complete revamp of the original task. So our original task again is to create or to write a persuasive essay. So in redefinition, we are now asking students to create a digital debate using video conferencing. So it is now a very different activity from the original activity. And we have integrated more of the technology now than the previous levels of the summer model. So yeah, that's it. So to sum up the summer model, S is for substitution. In substitution, technology acts as a direct substitute with no functional improvement. So in our example, we use word processors instead of the traditional pen and paper. So there's no functional improvement. It's just from writing with pen and paper, we are now typing it in word processor. So that's substitution. In augmentation, technology acts as a direct substitute but with functional improvement. So in our example, we use digital tools such as Quillbot and Grammarly. So the same with modification, uh, we are typing now our essays, but with the functional improvement that is the additional function of Grammarly and Quillbot, that is to correct your grammar and improve your sentences. So that's augmentation, a direct substitute with functional improvement. In modification, it is a modification is when technology allows for significant task redesign. So our example is from our original task, which is to write a persuasive essay. In redefinition, we have a complete new task, which is to create an infographic. So we have incorporated multimedia such as graphics and pictures in our activities. So that's redefinition. It allows for significant task redesign. In redefinition, technology allows for the creation of new tasks that has not been previously conceptualized. So in redefinition, it is a complete revamp of the original task. So in our example, we are asking students to create a digital debate using video conferencing platforms. So uh, from our original task, which is to just write a persuasive essay in pen and paper. In substitution, we have come to use the word processors. And then in augmentation, we are now using digital tools to improve your writing and grammar, such as Quillbots and Grammarly. And in modification, we are using editing tools such as Canva and PixArt to make infographics to integrate media, other types of media in our activities. And lastly, in redefinition, we are using video conferencing platforms and social media to create a digital debate and to argue and defend different perspectives on the topic. So, as you can see, no, uh, as we go up in the continuum of the summer model, the integration of technology is more and more embedded. Okay, so summer model, S is for substitution, the lowest of the levels, and then A for augmentation, M for modification, and R for redefinition, the highest in the levels. So that's for this summer model. So as you can see in this visual representation of the summer model, the bottom of the model, the two of them, which is substitution and augmentation, focuses on the enhancement of the activities. So as what I've said before, substitution and augmentation acts as a direct substitute, but with minimal enhancement to the activity. So that's why augmentation and substitution is labeled enhancement in this visual representation. While the modification and redefinition, the upper part of the summer model, focuses on transformation because modification, as I've said, allows for the significant task redesign, and redefinition allows the creation of new tasks. So it transforms the uh, previously the previous task into a different task. The same essence, but now with a different way to do it. So yeah, that's the summer model. Now let's move on to Bloom's digital taxonomy. So we are all familiar with Bloom's taxonomy man, no? Kaya nagbalik-balik naman na siya sa itong mga Prof Ed na mga subjects. So we are aware nga na revise ni siya. So ang gigamit ani sa Bloom's digital taxonomy is the revised version. Okay? So, take note lang. So let's proceed. But before that, Bloom's digital taxonomy is the integration of the summer model and the Bloom's taxonomy. The revised Bloom's taxonomy to be exact. So now let's proceed. So as you can see here, the levels of Bloom's taxonomy uh, falls into the levels pod sa summer model. So naay kaning mga levels nga naa sa different pod nga levels sa pikas nga model. So for example sa remembering, it falls under substitution. Sa ang understanding of applying sa augmentation, and applying, analyzing, evaluating kay sa modification, and evaluating and creating kay sa redefinition. So to put this into context, let's have some examples. So let's say, for example, our task is to research historical event. So in remembering, so atong remembering kay substitution man, no? Our task is identifying key facts and figures about the event with the use of ebooks. So as we all know, remembering is to recall previously learned information. So by identifying key facts and figures, we are able to remember that. And by the use of ebooks, we can say that it's substitution. Kay ebooks is a direct substitute to the traditional ones, which are the physical books and something like that. So mao na siya sa remembering o sa substitution. So in applying, which is augmentation sa summer nga model, the example would be differentiating between the primary and the secondary source with the use of Google. So differentiating is kaning makonsider nga applying sa Bloom's taxonomy. So yun na kayo na to i-explain ang Bloom's taxonomy nga side, no, kay very familiar naman siya sa to. So diri ta mag-focus sa summer model. So same with ganina sa understanding nga example, augmentation ang using of Google, kay by the use with the use of Google maka-search og more input ang mga students. So mo na siya sa applying. Now sa analyzing, sa modification siya na fall sa summer model. So our example would be to compare and contrast different perspectives on the event using Google Forms. So, as we all know, analyzing is separating materials or concepts into component parts to understand the whole. So, by comparing and contrasting, we can analyze the ideas of that one. So, focus sa dire sa summer model, uh, ma-consider siyang modification since by the use of Google Forms, the students can collaborate with each other. So, as what I have said before, sa modification nga level sa summer, ma-integrate po nato ang collaboration between the students sa kaning tasks with the use of technology. So, muna siya. So, sa evaluating, ma-fall siya under sa redefinition and modification. Sa in this example, atong gamiton kay ang modification. So, our example is critiquing the reliability and validity of your group sources used in your research. So, as you all know, evaluating is judging a value of an idea, object, or material, compare, conclude, critique, or etc. So, muna siya sa evaluating. So, dili na ta mag-focus sa modification. So, same sa atong example sa analyzing ganina, we can consider it as modification since we are using Google Forms to critique the reliability and validity of your group sources. So, motong ingon ang modification kay nagapromote og collaboration sa mga students through technology. Okay? Next. So the last one is creating, and it falls under the level sa SAMR nga redefinition. So our example is developing an original interpretation using multimedia presentations such as CapCut and etc. So in creating, we all know that it is building a structure, pattern, putting together parts, categorize, combine, and etc. So, ma-consider siyang creating since you are making a new task, a revamp of the task. So, atong original task is to just research historical events. So in redefinition, you are now developing an original interpretation using multimedia presentations. So that's why it can be considered as redefinition. So muna siya ang pag integrate sa Bloom's taxonomy o sa SAMR nga model. And so that concludes my part, and that would be all. Thank you.
A pleasant day, everyone. I am Bina Diwata, and I will be discussing the lesson 3, the ASUR model. So now let us define the learning outcomes of this lesson. So first, identify learning theories and principles applied in the use and design of learning lessons with technology. Then, apply the ASUR model in crafting a lesson. So now let us define what is ASUR model. So ASUR model is a guide in crafting an instructional flow that can guide the teacher in integrating appropriate technology and media into the instructional process. So basically, it is a procedural guide for planning and delivering instruction that integrates with technology and media into the teaching process. So it is also a systematic approach that the teacher can use in crafting an instructional plan. So here is a figure according to Henrich and Smaldino 2002. So we have here analyze learners. So who are the audiences? So first is we have demographic. So as a teacher, you must create a demographics of your students or your learners. So we have here, second is we have the general characteristic. So you must take note the general characteristics of your students, so such as their grade level, their age, and etc. So the general characteristics will be the content of your demographic. Then we have the entry competencies. So this is basically the desired knowledge, skills, and the behavior of your students. So competencies help students grow and build upon what they know, how they will think, what they will think, and what they can do. Then next is we have the learning preferences. So this will also depend on the general characteristics of your learners or your students. So if they prefer it through visually, auditory, learning and writing, and etc. So next is you have state objectives. So what do students need to learn? So first is we have the learning characteristics. So this refers to the learning types of your students. So if it is through auditive learning, through listening or by speaking, through visual learning, through eyes or through watching, then haptic learning or through touching or feeling. The next is we have the course rubric. So under it, we have the skill or concept. So concept is basically what they will be learning about, and the skill is what they will do with the concept. Then we have the proficiency and accuracy. So it refers to the state or value of the objectives you will make. And then we have the condition of performance. So this describes the circumstances or situation of performing the task. So how they will make the task, and what way, how will they be able to demonstrate this and that. So that is the condition of performance. The next is we have the subject, methods, media, and materials. So what do instruction need to use for face-to-face, online, and hybrid learning? So first is we have the select instructional materials. So teachers need to select appropriate instructional materials such as utilizing PowerPoint. So it is really important to select appropriate materials during your instruction. The next is we have produce new materials. So in selecting instructional materials, you have used or you have utilized PPT or PowerPoint presentation. So here in producing new materials, you will add such as YouTube video, additional materials to ensure the learning process of your students. So we have here repurposing existing materials. So you will modify or you will use the item in a new way. So this is actually cost effective and good for the teachers to ensure that they will not be magasto silang daghan like that. Then we have here utilize media and materials. So first is how do instructors use materials? So first we have prepare materials. So teacher must ensure that the materials they will make or they will use for the instruction is possible. So it is really important to also to select appropriate materials for their teaching process. So you need to take note what are the things you will be needed during your instruction or after or even after your instruction. The next is we have provide environment. So teachers must develop a learning environment where students are motivated to learn, to participate, and do not set boundaries. And then we have provide instruction. So this refers to the delivering of the instruction. So you need to stay aligned with your instruction must be needed to be aligned with your objectives. So next is we have the require learner participation. So students will actively engage in discussion, small group activities, formative assessment. So we have here discussion. So students must participate such as oral questionings, they must participate actively. And we have small group activities such as a debate or pair other activities. So they must actively engage in it. And we have here formative assessment. So such as you will ask questions during the discussion. So they must be able to answer or engage in it. Then we have here last is evaluate and revise. So what works, what doesn't, summative evaluation of instructional delivery. So you need to evaluate your instruction if it is correct lang ba, if it is right, or if it is needed to be upgraded. So you must master the instruction effectively to ensure the learning of your students. So next is revision of media and materials to improve students' outcome. So if your media and materials is not effective during the instruction, so you must revise it to ensure that the learner in the next will really learn or will really learn. So next, so here are the 6 essential steps in planning and instruction. So first is we have analyze learner. So with the learner as the center of instructional process, the initial consideration is to get a clear picture of the learner's learning style, age, level, interest or preferences, background, and special needs and cultural diversity. So the first thing as a teacher, you really need to take note of your learners. So you must analyze them, their characteristics, so you will know what are the appropriate things or the next thing that you will note. So learner is the center of the instructional process. So you will really need to analyze, you will need to study your learners. So there are 3 W's in analyzing the learner. So first is who. So who are your learners? So note their age, their grade level, their interests, their preferences, their background, and etc. Then we have here what. So what type of learner is your learner is, if they prefer it auditive learning, visual learning, and etc. So where. So environment is also a great factor that needed to be considered. So where is the setting of your instruction? So under which room, such as that. Then if you have a learner that so it is really important to analyze your learner. So such as example, you have a learner that have a special needs. So you need to take note of that specific student to ensure his or her learning. So next is we have state objectives. So this is the main instruction guide that will direct the flow to reach the target, so known as the learning outcome expected of the lesson. So this statement describe what the learner would be able to perform as a result of instruction. So it is also very important to set standard for your objectives. So this will focus on your learners. So what they will do, what they will know. This focuses the result of the instruction. So we have here the ABCDs in stating the objective. So we have here audience. So for whom the object in crafting, this is actually for crafting a objective. So ABCD. So we have here the audience. So for whom the objective is attended. So it is obvious that it is for the students, for your students. Then we have here the behavior. What behavior or performance to be demonstrated, such as the skills that they will be able to know or they will be able to learn. Conditions. What are the conditions under which the behavior or performance will be observed? So in which what are the level or what they will be needed to do. We have degree. To what degree will this knowledge will be, skill will be mastered. So then we have here next is select methods, media, and materials. So selecting the appropriate way of delivering the lesson and using the applicable media or technology can effectively make learners acquire understanding of the lesson or the competence desired. So the teacher has to decide which strategy, materials, or technology would be best considering the learners and the desired learning outcomes. So first, you must take note that which delivery method will be best for your instruction. The next is you will need to select the appropriate technology, methods, media, and appropriate for your instruction. So selecting methods, media, and materials is very important since here this focus on the materials that you will be needing on your instruction. So it is important to select the appropriate methods, media, and materials. So we have here, I will give you a simple scenario. So example is you did not select an appropriate methods, media, and materials. So you have prepared or you have selected not appropriate for your such as you have selected methods, materials, media, and materials intended for grade 6, but it is not appropriate because your learners is actually your students are just in grade 1 level, so it is not appropriate, right? So it is really important to analyze your learners first and then select the appropriate methods, media, and materials. So next is utilize methods, media, and materials. So having the selected strategy, media, and materials is halfway of the task done. Planning how to implement this entails a lot of consideration. Bearing in mind in learning outcome of the lesson, the teacher decides which part of the instructional flow will be a particular material or technology be employed and the manner and how they will be more effective to achieve the learning outcomes. So this concerns in making plan and how you will utilize the technology, methods, and materials. So we have here the 5 P's in utilizing methods, media, and materials. So first is preview the methods, media, and materials. Plan ahead of time on how you will utilize it. So such as doing a dry run to ensure that your methods that you have selected methods, media, and materials is really appropriate. Then we have here prepare the method, media, and materials. So you need to gather the things that you will be needed during the instruction. So next is we have prepare the environment. So this is the preparation of your classroom setting. So it's such as you need to ensure the desk, the table, the board is in a good condition. So next is we have prepare the learners. So you need to prepare the learners to ensure the instructional process of your instructional process or their learning. The next is we have the present the materials. So this is where your planning takes effect. So this is the instructional begins. The instruction begins. Then next to this is require learner participation. So student engagement is an important element. So the learners have to be made to understand the role in taking accountability of their own learning. Therefore, the teacher has to design selections of lessons where the learner are guided to participate in and perform tasks with a minimal or no supervision at all. So it is also very important to plan or um to create an activity or a lesson that requires the participation of your learners. So such as group activities, activities such as oral questionings, not just that. So it is also important to make an activity that doesn't require the teacher's supervision at all. So that's it. We have here last is evaluate students' performance. So assessing learners' performance can take place across phases of the lessons. So however, it is emphasized that the basic rule is that the evaluation should be congruent to the learning outcome provided in the classroom. So some learning outcomes can be sufficiently evaluated using a pen and paper test, but there are other learning outcomes that can be assessed by using a rubric or having a aggregated write-up through the use of portfolio assessment. So the teacher decide which is appropriate for the intentions of the evaluative activity. So this stage is you will evaluate the impact of your teaching during the instruction. So it also include the evaluation of the teacher's methods, media, and materials. So you must take note to the questions. Did your lesson meet the learning objectives that you have planned? Was the choice of your methods, media, and materials enough or appropriate? Questions like that. So you need to evaluate yourself, not just the students. So you need to know the performance of your students. And that would be all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aramay and Espada, and today we will be going to discuss the lesson 4, the models of technology enhanced instructional lessons. And our lesson outcomes for today's discussion is to number 1, identify how a technology tool is integrated in a lesson, and lastly, 2, evaluate the sample lessons with the elements of technology integrations and suggested how it can be enhanced. So for our introduction is that conventional way of teaching in this century may outmode the preference of present learners. The teacher providing the information while taking the center stage may not hold students' attention for a longer time. This still holds, however, but with appropriate use of the right technology tool or application, a lesson becomes engaging. The role that learners play in this millennium are no longer limited to being a receiver of information. The desire to be actively involved in the retrieval of stimulation, repackaging them, and using them to create something inconceivable before. It is because the learners are more attached to the usage of technology wherein they can easily access any information or data on the internet using a computer. Technology as mediating devices such as computer can support students' learning that includes the elements of assessment. This involves wide set of application and processes, web-based learning or computer-based learning. The purpose of technologies when embedded to the curriculum support the innovation teaching practices to enhance or enrich learning experiences of the students. So learners can become the contributors. Learners can upload materials such as a video or an audio, post a message, submit an output in a Dropbox or add documents and ebooks, and add a picture or contribute to a digital world using a pop-up. So for contributors, the learners becomes contributors when they upload something useful in the online world. Like, for example, is our first online tool na si Dropbox. It is a personal online backup service that is frequently used for file sharing and collaboration according to the internet. Like for instances, the Lightroom mobile presets by Maki Travels. So the Dropbox is then used to upload their presets so that everyone can access. Research is uploaded also in the online world and it becomes a basis for their future research. So the following one is the creators. Students can collate a digital portfolio or commonly known as an e-portfolio or create a virtual poster or an interactive resource. They can produce a digital story, edit the entries, and share. So creators is also like a contributor. The difference lang is that the contributors share something useful in the online world for the learning of others, while the creator on the other hand is naga-share lang or naga-create. It doesn't matter kung helpful siya to others because your goal is primarily to create or make or showcase your abilities and potentials. Like creating content like the bloggers, making their content to upload in the online world. Like for example also is the writers, diba? As we observe, writers also can write in any online platforms using the internet, like for example the ebooks, the Wattpad. That is an example of creators. So the following one is the communicators. Using technology tools, students can chat with peers, post a reply in a blog, and contribute a comment to the thread flow. So for communicators, by dropping contents on Facebook, chat, or Messenger, they became communicators na. Integrate technology tools like Messenger, FB, Skype. Students became communicators because they have the chance to express their ideas through chatting, posting a reply, or Skype. So the last one is the collaborators. Capstone's project can be outputs of collaboration. Students can participate in posting ideas in forum where there can be an asynchronous discussion. So as future educators, we have to consider and identify what types of roles of learners that students shows, because by doing this, it can help us to adapt or integrate of useful or appropriate learning tool or technology tool for the quick learning of students. Tools must be as fundamental components of a class as long as they are appropriate and strategically integrated to facilitate learning. For the integration of technology in a lesson is an informed judgment of a qualified and innovative teacher. Blogs, it is a web page that you need to create and where you can write and post your ideas. It is an online journal that allows you to share with the world what you think or feel. Blogging provides benefit, and one of which is it allows you to improve your writing skills. There are many kinds of blogs, and the types will depend on the purpose for which it was created. One benefit of this is being in an online journal, wherein you don't need a paper or pen. As long as you have your smartphone, you can always have the opportunity to share your ideas and improve your writing skills. So the blogging ideas are A. Reflect on reading. So using blogs, post your reflections on a book that you are assigned to read. An example of this is the teacher assigned to make a reflection about the book that is being read by the student. So the teacher can always use the blog to create or write reflection about the book that they had read. So letter B, the next one is picture prompt. Post a blog on your reflection based on a picture. Students can be given a limit in writing a creative piece or an idea. It is a picture reflection that is available also, so blog to write their perspective, interpretation about the picture. So the letter C is that given the limited time, students post their interpretation of a statistical data provided in class. This can be homework assigned to them. So the student can write their interpretation about statistical data. And letter D lastly is the dream on. In a social studies class, students can post about their dream destinations by describing the culture, the people, and scenic spots. So picture can be added to enliven post, and it also describes your dream destination. So the next one is the web conference ideas. Letter A, expert guest practitioner. Invite somebody who is an expert in a particular field into a web conference. Like for example is the Skype. For web conferencing, you can always invite a guest to give a speech during a web conference. And letter B, share and compare. Using web conferencing, data from science investigation can be shared to groups or to other groups or students from other schools. Since it is a web conferencing, the participants are always allowed to share and compare their ideas. So the last one is the mediated tutorial. Through web conferencing, learners can set a time for a tutorial session with an assigned peer. A variation can be a mediated tutorial by a teacher through any of the following web conferencing tools for teachers. Like for example is the Skype, the FB, the Messenger, Meeting Brunner, GoToMeeting, Yugma, WebEx, and etc. And also it does have their ideas, then there will be comparing of ideas na mahitabo. The next one is the Padlet. It is another tool that can be accessed online and suited for sharing information or content and can allow engagement for students. Although it can be used for business with creativity, it can be appropriate for educational purposes. It also allowing students the engagement or participation of students in the class. It is used for educational purposes and also for business. So, in designing a lesson, always remember that it is not about technology tool upon which the lesson revolves. Rather, it has to be the objective of the lesson and the knowledge and skills to be taught that will guide you in selecting the appropriate tool or aid in order to achieve those objectives. So the following step may be a good guide in designing a lesson plan. So for step 1, identify learning objectives based on a topic or content. Number 1 is to determine the objectives are observable or can be manifested by the learner. Number 2 is consider the topic or subject matter that needs to be covered in the lesson. And for step 2, determine the knowledge and skills. And step 2 includes number 1, analyze students' knowledge and skills. And number 2, determine how students will be able to learn the knowledge and skills. And lastly, number 3, look for resources that can be useful in achieving the objectives. So for step 1, identify learning objectives based on the topic or the content. So we as the future educator, we have to determine what is the purpose of making the lesson plan. Because some teachers tend to make lesson plan before and after making a lesson objectives. So you have to also consider or keep in mind that what you have included topic in your plan, mao lang pud to imong i-discuss. You don't have to go any further and get another topic from another lesson. Ang imuhang primary goal lang diri is to discuss lang ang katong lesson objectives nga naka-include to sa imong topic. And for step 2, determine the knowledge and skills. So as a future educators kasi, you have to analyze the students' learning if they are capable of making or learning a certain kind of assessment. So you also have to engage or motivate students to adapt their learning to your lesson. Step 3, select a tool or an instructional aid to use. And number 1, be familiar with the tool you have selected and learn how to use it. Number 2, consider the content that needs to be placed in the tool or the information that goes with the use of the tool. And lastly, the step 4, determine the method of assessment. And number 1, use a criteria to evaluate the technology tool or instructional aid, but always considering the content as the most important criterion. Number 2, consider the quality information, the technological skills needed by the students, or how you can present the technology tool that would suit your objectives. So, for step 3, since we are attached to the use of technology, and often the learners prefer to learn via online platform, then you have to explore it. You have to explore the technology, since we are also in the 21st century. So it is also very essential for the learners. So it is very essential for the learners because they can easily access the information. And if you are using a PowerPoint presentation in presenting your topic, then you have to study it. You have to also study the PowerPoint presentation, because you can't make a PowerPoint presentation if you don't know how to use it. And if you don't know how to use technology, then you can make a PowerPoint presentation, diba? And next is, make sure your content is in line with the topic you have chosen in making your lesson. Then this one is, your content in making your lesson is dapat naka-inline siya. You don't have to grab any topic sa lain nga lesson. You have only to focus on your topic. Dili na ka mag-explain or mag-add pag something that is not in line with your topic. And for step 4, determine the method of assessment. The criteria that you'll be using is based on the lesson that you have discussed. Because there are some teachers who give assessment, especially back in high school, na wala pa na-discuss ang topic pero layo na kaayog na abtan ang discussion. Next is a sample plan making use of a mobile device. Since I am not familiar with this, I'll be reading this na lang. Performance outcome, learners can become: number 1, identify the plot given fiction in literature. Number 2, write a summary of one section of the plot, any of the beginning, middle, or the end. Number 3, create a script to enact one section of the plot. And number 4, use a mobile device to document the section of the plot and which has to be uploaded for the class to review. Next is prepare things needed in setting up the classroom. Number 1, a literary material from a book. Number 2, mobile device with a camera. Number 3, internet access, like for example beyond the class hours or at home if there is no internet connectivity in your school. Number 4, mobile devices have to be changed. Number 5, teacher needs to ensure that a platform, example a site or a blog or wiki, has been set up where learners can upload their own material. Next is plan push the instructional flow. Number 1, after finishing a particular fiction literature such as a story or a particular text, discuss with learners the elements of a plot, the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. Number 2, divide the class into smaller groups, assigning each team to work on the plot of the story in any of the one, beginning, middle, or end. Number 3, each team will have short script that summarizes the portion of the plot assigned to them. And number 4, then they will act out of a scene and make sure their mobile device to record their final play. Number 5, the recording will then be uploaded to the class site, example Google site or class wiki, for the rest of the big class to review and comment. And last, provide plausible possibilities. Number 1, the written script of a scene can be acted out like in a radio play using the audio recording feature of the mobile device, like in a podcast. This can also be uploaded in the class site. Number 2, as a team, create a different ending or inject a different twist in the story. The team can select the best plausible twist.